Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at a brand new Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, Dragapult. Dragapult evolves from Dreepy, which can be found in the wild during the current event at the time of recording this video. Dragapult is a Dragon and Ghost type Pokemon. Your choice of fast moves are Astonish and Dragon Tail, and for charge moves, you're going to want to run Breaking Swipe and Shadow Ball. So overall, this thing has a pretty great moveset. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's take a look at Dragapult in action for the very first time in the Open Great League. Hopping to the first match, we've got a Core Breaker on our hands, and its name is Empoleon. I quick switch out of Skarmory into the Goodra, but this is not much of a better matchup. Empoleon lands the Drill Peck, they're going to switch out into their own Goodra. I don't have Draco Meteor, but I'm going to build up as close as I can get to it and hope that they fall for the bluff, and they do! My Goodra is able to force a shield despite only having resisted moves. That is massive. I'm now going to bring in Skarmory. I know that I can survive a Thunder Punch, so I'm going to let this through, and I'm going to look to overfarm slightly here. At this point, to be honest, I had lost count. I was just very happy that I got a shield in the Goodra mirror, so I overfarm by 1, and I fire off the Sky Attack to pick up the KO. This does mean that I didn't overfarm enough to outpace the Empoleon, which is a little bit unfortunate, because they can bring back in the Empoleon, they're 6 away, I'm 6 away, and that's a Charge Attack priority tie that I do not win. I'm going to shield though. I can guarantee the final shield or get massive damage with Brave Bird, and then I have to trust in Dragapult in the endgame. In comes Dragapult. It's a simultaneous switch Dragapult versus Dragonair, and look at the damage. Dragon Tails shredding through the Dragonair. Dragonair shields. They do not get the farm down. Dragapult with 1 HP, able to take a shield and get the KO, and now it's a battle of Steel Wings, but this is not a winning fight for Empoleon. Empoleon makes it to a last second charge attack, but it's not going to matter. Skarmory with the shield remaining, able to fire off the Sky Attack, pick up the knockout, and despite the terrible lead, we're able to take the win. Much better lead in the next match, Skarmory versus Clodsire. Clodsire staying in this matchup, which means odds are they probably have something in the back that is not a big fan of Skarm. I'm going to farm up a massive amount of energy. Opponent was waiting for me to throw, potentially to try and cap tie a Stone Edge to a Brave Bird, but I'm just going to keep farming there. I believe they actually went a little bit over 100 when they did throw that. And here, I make it to the Brave Bird, and it's a Charge Attack priority tie. I am just going to let this through if they end up shielding. It is going to do a ton of damage, but I just really want to get shield advantage for Dragapult. Dragapult is absurdly attack weighted, so this thing can output some monster damage, but in exchange, it's not taking any hits whatsoever. I'm going to shield and look for a full farm down here. They go for the Earthquake, they save switch into Mana Buzz. I have to switch out and bring in Goodra. I'm farming up with the Goodra, trying for the Thunder Punch. That looked like good timing at first, but unfortunately the visuals were inconsistent, so it ends up being a throw on alignment. And that is going to end up costing me in this matchup, because they're going to be able to land 2 Dark Pulses and actually get a Snarl down before I can make one final move. So the Dark Pulse will land. My Goodra does not make another move, courtesy of that throw on alignment. I'm going to bring in Dragapult, look for the 1 shield farm down. I'm just trying to exit with as much energy as I possibly can. I leave with a ton of energy. In the back, they have Cresselia, and it's time. No baits here. I'm full sending the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball, massive damage to the Cresselia. Can I get the farm down? No! The Cresselia survives with a fraction of HP. I have to hope they have exactly 1 HP and die through the shield, but they do not. They had a couple HP more. They're barely able to hang on. Knock out Dragapult. Dragapult able to inflict massive damage, but just not quite enough to be able to take that win. We move to the next match, Skarmory versus Shadow Alolan Sandslash. Alolan Sandslash will strike first with an Ice Punch. Opponent safe switches into a Bubble Jellicent. Jellicent, I don't often see on Bubble, but we're going to fire off the Brave Bird, and now I can go for a 1 shield farm down with Dragapult. In hindsight, maybe I should have saved the energy and just brought in the Dragapult, but in the moment, I just wanted to inflict some serious damage. They did exit with energy, but they don't have a move. This means that I can get the shield back or KO them with the Shadow Ball. The Shadow Ball will be shielded. Opponent not going to take any additional Dragon Tail damage. They're just going to look to pick up the knockout with the Ice Punch. I can bring back in the Skarmory. My goal is a one-shield farm now. And the unfortunate thing for me, however, is that their clock will be up. So they're going to be able to save the Sandslash. They switch out. In the back, it's a Azumarill, and this is very bad. I'm going to be firing off the Sky Attack. That is going to grab the shield, and now I just have to make it to the Brave Bird. Skarmory barely hanging on with 1 HP, firing off the Brave Bird. Brave Bird, massive damage, and now I'm in a winning position by landing that Brave Bird. Play Rough is super effective, but Goodra is very bulky, even with my pretty weird IVs. These IVs were specifically meant so Goodra could get rid of Lickitungs, but of course Lickitung in the new season is getting a nerf. Now it's a fast move race, and on 1 HP, Goodra farms down the Sandslash and clutches the win. We've got a mirror in the next match, Skarmory versus Skarmory. My opponent is running the Shadow Skarmory. Shadow Skarmory, a pretty cool pick overall. Of course, with the upcoming Steel Wing nerf, not going to be as good next season, but I did want to give it one last rodeo, as the move updates will happen in a couple hours at the time of recording. I'm going to bring in the Goodra now. Goodra, they let me get to an Aqua Tail, so I'm going to throw it. I'm going to be firing off this move. The Aqua Tail is shielded. They're going to bank a move for later and bring in Annihilate. Annihilate, these counters not adding up as much as Annihilate might want them to. Even with my strange Goodra IVs, Goodra still has some pretty nice bulk and is going to be a great Pokemon to use in the new season. My opponent is going to be able to make it to a Night Slash versus whatever I bring in, so I think that I may as well just go for one shield farm with Dragapult. Because Dragapult energy can go very far. We saw from that Cresselia. This thing, if it lands a move, does a massive amount of damage. In the back is going to be a Shadow Gligar. I'm farming up a ton of energy. We both go for a catch. Skarmory into Skarmory. They're firing off their move. The Brave Bird does not KO. My Skarmory gets the farm down. And now this game is over. They have a choice to make. Get knocked out by a Brave Bird or get knocked out by the Shadow Ball. Opponent chooses the Brave Bird. Down goes Gligar. And that's a good game. Great lead in the next match, Skarmory versus a Primarina. This is actually a Waterfall Primarina. Primarina, of course, a lot more common after the Community Day where it did get access to Hydro Cannon. Since it's Waterfall, my Dragons actually have play into this thing. So I'm just going to bank the energy, go Goodra, and we actually have a simultaneous switch. I bring in the Goodra, and they bring it for Alligator. They do have enough for the Ice Beam here. I respect it, and they almost always bait in that matchup. I'm now going to fire off the Thunder Punch to look to pick up the knockout. Thunder Punch picks up the KO. They don't protect that Pokemon. Instead, they're going to bring in Annihilate, and before they can make a move, I will fire off the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail is going to be shielded up. They're going to try for a counter down, but Goodra hangs on. If my Switch Clock is up, I can snipe their energy here. The Aqua Tail is shielded. Switch Clock just up in the perfect amount of time. The combo play with the Brave Bird denies 10 counters of energy on that Annihilate. In comes Primarina, and now Dragapult gets to flip the script as a Dragon type. It doesn't get to KO very many Fairy types, but today is that day. Dragapult making it to the Shadow Ball. This will do massive overkill onto that Primarina and secure the victory. Terrible lead in the next match, Skarmory vs Charjabug. I have two better responses in the back, so I go Goodra, and out comes Abomasnow. Abomasnow, not a great spot for me to be in. I'm just going to let everything through. My hope is that if I bluff a Draco, my opponent will respect it. So I'm going to farm up, bluffing a potential Draco. Draco will KO here if they let it through. The bluff this time is unsuccessful. Opponent not going to fall for it. And unfortunately, I don't get that coveted shield advantage. I'm going to get a nice amount of farm on my Skarmory, but the issue is this energy is going to be debuffed by an Icy Wind. And ideally, I would love to go for a Brave Bird and dip, but this is a lot more survivable for the Charjabug now that, unfortunately, I have been debuffed. So they bring in the Charjabug, I fire off the Brave Bird. This is a pretty safe no-shield for them, and I have to hope that Dragapult is going to be able to sweep in the back. It's for Alligator, and this is bad. Of course, for Alligator, able to hit for super effective damage due to that Dragon Ghost typing on the Dragapult. Dragapult, honestly, these Dragon Tails are keeping pretty decent pace with the super effective Shadow Claws. Again, this thing outputs a crazy amount of damage, but unfortunately, they can just no-shield here. 1 Volt Switch is going to be enough to KO, and I can't Steel Wing down a Charjabug. They're going to get the double up here, so there's just no point in me shielding, as at this point, the game is over. Charjabug will go for the discharge, knock out the Skarmory, and that game is a loss. We get a dream lead, Skarmory versus Superior. Opponent save switches into for Alligator, and I respond with Goodra. There was a little frame drop there, but I think this was only 6. And 6, I can survive. It is going to be the Crunch. Crunch, very fine for Goodra. I'm going to look to overfarm and pick up a knockout with a Thunder Punch. The Thunder Punch is going to connect. Down goes for Alligator. Serperior is going to get farmed, but the good news for me is that energy goes nowhere against Skarmory. That's one of the reasons why they did end up nerfing Skarmory, and those nerfs will go through again at the time of recording a couple hours from now. Just due to the fact that Skarmory invalidates Grass types so severely, whereas in the new season, the hope is that Grass types will be a lot better. In the back is a Unova Stunfisk. I'm Brave Birding, even though it's resisted, it still does about 25% of their HP, and unfortunately for them, they're a Thundershock Unova Stunfisk. Thundershock, of course, great into the flyers, but if you have a dragon, dragons are going to be really awkward for Superior Thundershock Ufisk core. And now I can just start spamming out these breaking swipes, and I do get the 50% chance at a debuff. Dragapult still taking a lot of damage. Again, this Pokemon is so frail. It is so frail. I can force the final shield with the breaking swipe. Their only play is to try and potentially combo, but the moment they switch lock Superior, the game's over, because I don't have to shield Dragapult. Instead, I can just Steel Wing all the way down with Skarmory, because again, Skarmory just invalidates basically every grass type, and then just Brave Bird the Unova Stunfisk again. So Unova Stunfisk, despite being the electric type, getting hit with multiple flying moves in this match, but it is going to end in a victory. So it ends up working out well for us, as Brave Bird is going to pick up the knockout. Hopping into the next match, Skarmory versus Mantine. Not a bad spot to be in. I'll stay in for a while just to check and see what their secondary move is. If it's Water Pulse, my Dragons will do great. If it's Ice Beam, I probably want to stay in with Skarmory. But to my surprise, it's Bubble Beam. There's no way. I can now safely bring in Goodra. Opponent sends in a Charm Primarina, and this is not amazing for me. I will fire off the Thunder Punch, but they know they can survive it because I have basically no fast move pressure here, and they're going to get a full farm down. They exit with energy. I really don't want to take a Hydro Cannon without forcing a shield first, so I'm going to bring in the Skarmory and just go for the Sky Attack after one Steel Wing. If they want the energy, they're forced to go down a shield, and them being down a shield is fine by me. That is so okay. They will fire off the Hydro. That does quite a lot of damage, but I'm just going to look to try and make it to a Brave Bird versus the Mantine. In comes the Mantine, but I can't quite get to the Brave Bird first. They're going to fire off another Bubble Beam. I wait to make sure they don't catch, and now I can fire off the Brave Bird. Brave Bird into the Mantine will do serious damage even when debuffed. In comes Dragapult in the back. The opponent bringing out the spice on the final day of the season. They have a Palossand in the back. Honestly, yesterday on stream, I was running Salazzle, so I get it. We're all just waiting for the new season to start, so running some Spice, definitely a fun way to do so. I don't get the Breaking Swipe debuff, but I'm going to be able to make it to the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball probably just one-hit KOs this, so this is massive overkill, but I just want to land as many hard-hitting charge moves with Dragapult as I can. Dragapult will commit the shield as they fire off the Aerial Ace. The Dragon Tail registers, and that game is over. We've got a tricky lead in the next match, Skarmory versus Defense Deoxys. Deoxys typically running Psycho Boost and Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt's very threatening to Skarmory. I'm going to try and catch a Thunderbolt. I'm going to Brave Bird, throw one more, go for the catch, but great patience from my opponent. They hold on to the energy. That Deoxys energy will be very annoying endgame as my Goodra save switch is met with Dugong. Thunder Punch will hit for super effective damage, but landing it does not allow Goodra to flip this matchup, so I'm just going to let this go. Unfortunately, not really able to gain an advantage out of the mid game, but I'm able to bait out the Ice type, and the hope is with the Ice type out of the way, then Dragapult can do well in the back. In comes Skarmory. I'm going to fire off the Sky Attack. Would have been Charge Attack priority if they threw instantly here, just to pick up the knockout. In comes Deoxys, and I have a tough call to make. I think this is one Dragon Tail range, so I'm going to let the Bolt through, go for the Dragon Tail, but the Deoxys lives on 1 HP, and I'm forced to go down a shield. That was not in the plans, but in the back is Mandibuzz, and yeah, this game's over. Unfortunately, this game is over. Dragapult is already frail enough when it's taking moves that are neutral. Add in super effective moves, and yeah, Dragapult is just goner. Unfortunately, there's just no hope for Dragapult in this moment. Opponent, even if I double debuff here, I don't survive this. That's how frail Dragapult is. I do get the double debuff, and so at the moment I was thinking, surely I survive this. I still don't survive it. Dragapult is so glassy. The moveset is very cool, but my goodness, its stats are definitely better suited for Masters. Hopping into the final match, we've got a Skarmory Mirror. I'm going to farm up just shy of 100 energy and go for the Sky Attack, losing Charge Attack priority. The Sky Attack is going to connect, and I'm going to fire off a Sky Attack of my own. There is a way to play out the Skarmory Mirror. I believe it's over farming here. If you do 4 Steel Wings, then the Brave Bird should be able to knock out at least 4 Steel Wings past your move. They end up shielding, so I'm just going to let this through and then go for farm on Dragapult. I know that Dragapult's energy hits very hard into a lot of things, so I may as well just go for the 1 shield farm down. They're going to get the shield back. That's okay. Again, I'm just going to farm them all the way down because it does take a while to get to a Shadow Ball. They're going to pivot out into a Gligar. Gligar. Oh, that's a charge attack priority tie on the Shadow Ball. Come on. Don't respect it. They do respect it. That would have easily knocked out. Unfortunately, my opponent does end up committing the shield. Now it's all up to Goodra. They're going to try and make it to a dig, but they lose charge attack priority. Dig to the Aqua Tail, and they're unable to force the shield. In the back is a Quagsire. Quag farming up. A Mud Bomb is survivable here. I can live that, so I'm going to let this through. The opponent baits with an Aqua Tail, anticipating a shield. They try for the catch on a Skarmory, but I get the farm down with the Goodra, and this game is going to end in victory, as I have the back-to-back Aqua Tails. Aqua Tail number 1 gets them low. Aqua Tail number 2 is going to pick up the knockout. I'm heartbroken the Shadow Ball didn't get to land, but the good news is we're going to be able to take the win, as down goes Quagsire. All in all, I had quite a bit of fun getting to try out Dragapult. It's definitely more on the attack-weighted side of things, but I really feel like they did it justice with the moveset. Dragon Tail and Astonish, especially once the Astonish buff goes through, is a pretty nice choice of fast moves, and with Breaking Swipe baits and Shadow Claw as the nuke, overall, they honestly did a great job. They hit it out of the park with this moveset. I am very excited to see what this can potentially do in the Master League and specifically Master Premier. Of course, that does require getting a hundo and a lot of Candy XL. So during this event, I'm going to be trying to catch every Droopy that I can while having either a Ghost or a Dragon Tier 3 Mega active to try and kickstart that process, because overall, this is a very fun Pokemon and I'm excited to see what it can do. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated, so thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.